Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing the Fox Experiment from Pandasaurus Games. The Fox Experiment is a 1 to 4 player roll and write game in which across 5 rounds of play, the players are trying to breed progressively better and better foxes while trying to score points, get the favor of patrons, and all that stuff along the way. This is based on an actual historical whole thing that was done. I don't remember the exact details or locations, but the whole Fox Experiment breeding, that was an actual thing that was done, and this is designed by Elizabeth Hargrave and Jeff Fraser. With that, let's go ahead and dive into how this game plays. Like I said already, you're breeding foxes and it's a roll and write game, which means every single round you're going to go through a bunch of phases in the game, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to be selecting 3 things in that first round. So over here on this player board, and you have the whole general player board, you have the foxes, you have your personal play area, but you're going to be selecting 3 things: a mama fox, a papa fox, and then a turn order benefit over here. Now you're going to go around and around choosing that, but you have to do one of each of those things. So for example, I can choose a mama fox as my first thing, but then when it comes back to me, I can choose a first order benefit, but meanwhile you may have chosen a papa fox as your first thing as you go through this, so you're trying to be mindful of what others have already taken, because once I've taken a papa fox, I can't take another one. So as other players slowly take those, you might have options guaranteed for you as you play through it. But again, you're trying to gather those things: a mother, a father, and then a turn order benefit. Now the turn order benefit is going to give you, well, turn order plus whatever's shown on that benefit, but over here for these foxes, the general idea is that once you have gathered the correct foxes, let's pretend I've gotten, I don't even want that one, let's do this one. Let's pretend I've gotten these foxes over here. When we go to the breeding phase, I'm going to be rolling these dice on the foxes, plus the dice I've unlocked from my player mat, which you start with 1. You're going to be tracking various benefits in the game that you can slowly unlock: the ability to breed multiple foxes per round, the ability to get new research cards, how many dice you can roll each round, and then how many patrons' favor you're getting. But right now, we start with 1 extra die, so I'm going to gather these dice: 1, 2, we're going to gather the 3 reds that I have, and 1 blue, and that's going to be my dice pool for this round. I'm going to go ahead and roll these dice. Let's move these off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and roll these dice over here, and then we're going to go ahead and try to assemble these to be able to make the traits we want. So for example, I can go ahead and assemble these, and that's going to give me, we have to go ahead and draw a pup that we're going to be drawing on. This is the pup I have. Well, they don't actually matter which one, past the art. You can go ahead and name them if you want. I usually don't bother, but that's because I'm a little boring inside, and I don't always take the time to do so. But if you want to name this pup, it looks like Frizzy. We're going to name it Frizzy. So now that we're on camera over here, we're going to call it Frizzy. Make that Frizzy, okay, with my terrible writing. I'm going to mark off that I got 1, 2, 3 red pips, 1 of this yellow pip, and then this one I'm going to combine with that double over there. So I'm going to combine those. In fact, I'm going to trade in one of these tokens over here. Let's pretend I have this token. I'm going to trade this in to get 2 full of those. So I'm going to have 1 blue. I'm going to have 1 blue again, because that half wild with the blue is going to be another half. And then I have 1 wild of my choice. And you know what? I could go ahead and try to put this into the pool with more icons on it. I can look at my research card over here. They're all fine. I'm just going to go ahead and put this over here like so. So I've gone ahead and I've generated my fox over here, which is going to go into the pool like this. And that means in future generations, because this is a slowly breeding game after all, but in future generations, whoever drafts this fox, they're going to have 1 yellow die, 1 blue die, and 2 red dice. This is already a 4 dice fox, and you'll notice that these are 1, 2, and 3 dice. Which means you are making better and stronger foxes as you go. You're going to mark their friendliness score, which is basically going to add up their pips over here. You're going to mark their friendliness in the top corner. And then these icons over here, those little circles, are going to be used for research bonuses. We can go ahead and take 1 and then 2 of these. And now we're going to have these little tokens over here, which we can trade in for benefits. We'll talk more about those shortly. So we now have our fox. We've bred our fox. We're going to look at our research track over here, and we're going to see if our pup was able to satisfy any of these research conditions. And in this case, it was. It was able to. Let's go ahead and mark this over here. We're going to mark it with the pup over here, that currently we managed to achieve the first benefit. We got 1 of each of these. We don't need purple, but we had 1 of each of the blue, yellow, and pink squares, which we do, and that's level 1. Next round, if we can make a fox stronger, whether this one or a different one, we're going to be trying to achieve this level, and then this level. So you're trying to get 2, 5, or 10 points per research card, and every time you breed a fox, you can go ahead and achieve a level on a research card, which right now you have 1, but you might be able to get more. There I go. I submit my fox. I got their friendly score, which is however many pips I've gotten across the board, and that's basically what you're trying to do as far as breeding the fox. Now, a few more things will happen over here. First of all, you're going to have the opportunity to trade in these tokens. Specifically, these tokens over here, you can see 2 of the same token can trade in for any benefit. So I'm going to go ahead and trade these in. I'm going to mark that over there. And I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to have an extra green die that I'm rolling every single round along with my other dice. I've chosen that as my benefit. Although once you go over here, you can alternatively get the ability to breed multiple foxes. When you have multiple foxes being bred, you can breed up to 3 foxes per round, where you go through the exact same process using the same parents, but you go through the same process of rolling the dice, drawing a pup, and trying to come up with the best foxes that you possibly can, which again will all go into the pool for next round. Once you're done with all of that, once you've done going ahead and cashing your tokens, you go ahead and achieve your friendly score, see who has gotten the friendliest score and put it down on the board over there. Then you're going to go ahead to clean up in the next round, where you clear all the foxes that are left in play, you put all the foxes you bred this round into the pool, and then proxy it out with remaining mama and pops of foxes until those numbers are even to the number of players plus 1 on these card pools. Then you're going to go ahead and do that, basically repeat that process for 5 rounds of play until you go ahead and see who has the higher score from a combination of, well, you know, these little indicators over here. The friendly score you're going to have, who have achieved those. As you unlock benefits on this board, you're going to achieve 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5 points over here, so you're getting benefits. And then these over here give you patrons you can unlock, where basically down here you can go ahead and put one of your pups down over here and unlock the patron benefit, getting the little benefit over there, plus however they score. So for example over here, 4 points for every 4 different symbols in your player mat, 1 point for every one of the specific trait tokens over here, whatever the trait token this is, on your player mat. So you're trying to achieve all of that as you try to figure out who is going to win in the fox experiment. A few other things we didn't talk about. There's going to be these little research cards you can gather. You're going to get those from various tokens over here. Various spots on the board are going to give you those tokens, but you're going to be able to achieve those as you go. And I think that's basically it. You have your player board over here where you can go ahead and try to achieve more research cards. So again, the benefits are additional foxes you're breeding, more research cards you're drawing, which means as you breed each fox, they can be utilized for more and more research cards as you go, more dice over here, and then the patron benefits. You're only ever going to get 3 of the 4 patrons in the game. And that is how you play the fox experiment, which means it's time for the review part of things, starting off with the ease of play. The rulebook is very verbose, but it does give you the information fairly clearly. It's just very long. I will say, to their credit, I don't have it near me. I do have it near me. The back of the rulebook actually does a great job really reminding you of the exact turn summary of everything you need to know. This over here is usually enough for you to remember how to play. If you've played this game one time and you need a refresher, this is kind of enough to walk you through the core idea of how everything works. It's a fairly straightforward game as far as what it's doing. There's just a lot more rules in here than I would have thought for what is fairly straightforward, but it's very clear, lots of icons. But if you're intimidated by like the 20 pages or so, it does go through quickly enough, but it seems like there's more to it than there actually is. Past that, game runs, I'd say, about an hour or so. It's not the fastest moving roll-like game I've played. I wonder what the box says. Box says 60 minutes, so an hour. I'm fine with that. They got it right. It runs for an hour or so as far as when you play this. It's a little slower than some roll-likes I've played. The 5 rounds of play do let you get more done and build up your tableau and generate more foxes. Now, big thing worth noting is the foxes you generate go into a common pool. They're not your foxes. Those foxes can be claimed by any player in future rounds, which we'll get to soon. But past that, let's dive into the review, starting off with what I like, don't like, and Casila's not liking, starting off with what I like. Which is, it's a roll and write game, which is already, like, it's a point in its favor. It is. I like roll and write games, and I like roll and writes with the production on this game, the pieces you have, and I should note, I do have the Kickstarter version. I do know there were some issues with the Kickstarter version, I believe with the playmat, maybe other things. I haven't noticed anything that's impacted my experience over here, but this is the Kickstarter version of the game, all these various tokens and extras. I don't actually know the differences between this and the retail, but the production here is great. It really makes it enjoyable to play through this. The dice are beautiful. Again, I don't know if the dice are standard to the game or if they're different to the retail edition, but the dice are beautiful, the production is beautiful, everything here looks great, combined with the roll and write, the 5 rounds of play, the tableau building, because as they shift to the actual gameplay things I like, the tableau building is going to be one of them. That you can build up your personal player board. You can make this whole puzzle over here more powerful by unlocking more bonuses, breeding more pups, rolling more dice, getting more research cards, unlocking the patrons, trying to make sure you go for the things that patrons have, and then trying to get their benefits as you go, trying to get that friendliest pup every single round, trying to choose when to cash in all your tokens for that big home run swing, because you're going to earn these various tokens as you go through the game, and cashing these little wilds in for extra things, trying to figure out the right turn to do so you can get that friendliest pup. That's a big part of the game experience, because you're not going to get the friendliest pup every single round, or at least probably not, but if you cash them in at the right time, you can choose to get those extra points from that as you go through it. And there's also, additionally, people who don't get the friendliest pup do get tokens. I didn't talk about that as well. But in general, the patrons, the balancing of it, the fast-moving turns, the rolling dice, and just trying to match up those pips every single time you do that, it's a little fun experiment. That is arguably the worst roll I've ever had. Most of the pips, for context, you can get half a pip, 2 half pips, which is flexibility, a full pip, or a pip and a half, which means the amount you can get from any die is anywhere from 0.5 to 1.5, which is a big swing. If you have a roll like I just did, your average roll, let's say, is 1. I actually don't know the distribution entirely, but let's say average roll is 1, which may not be true. I got one of the worst rolls I've ever seen on a dice over here, which is one of the things we're going to get to soon as well as far as my review part of things. But yeah, in general, it's fun to roll your dice. Even this is fun to pair them up. It's just, that was a bad roll. But you're going to go ahead and try to fill out your pups. And so you have that sense of continuity of you're building up your pups towards the future generations as you try to gather these tokens and trade them in for various tableau benefits. And it's basically a roll and write game with tableau building and good production and just a interesting and unique theme. As far as things I don't like in the game, while overall I do enjoy the game, the two things that take me out of the experience a bit or take away from the experience is number one is you don't actually have your own pups. I like the personal tableau building going on, but it feels a little weird that I'm breeding these pups and then they go into a general pool where everyone can take them. From a gameplay stance, I understand why that is. It means if I have a very good roll round one, like you just saw, if I have a good roll versus a bad roll, it means that the benefits of that roll don't cascade across 5 rounds of play. Now my pup that I didn't get to build in that first round is meh, and I have to stick with it for the whole entire game. As opposed to the way it's done right now, they have it so that you have a great pup you got in round 1, you rolled really well, well guess what? Next round, I possibly can draft that pup from you, meaning that you're not going into a cascading failure aspect or, you know, the rich get richer in this game. So from a gameplay stance, I appreciate it. I just wish there was a different way to give you that catch-up mechanic or to avoid that being a problem, because as it is, I have that sense of like, oh, look at me, I'm breeding pups that I don't even get, so that's just less fun. I understand mechanically why it's done. I wish they had found a different way to solve that problem, because I really wish I was breeding my own pups and continuing that process forward as I play. The other thing is that game to game on this one, I don't feel it plays particularly different as I play. There are different patrons, and they are double-sided. I believe they're double-sided. I'm pretty sure they're double-sided. They are double-sided. Yes, they are double-sided over here. But there are different patrons in play, and there are like a few more in the box. I think there's +1 extra, so I think there's a total of 10 over there. And that gives you small nuanced aspects. But for me, the Fox Experiment is a fun game that I don't feel like I'm particularly exploring different avenues each time I play it. I feel that this is one of those games that I play it, I have a lot of fun with it, and then it feels repetitive as I go through it. Which, again, some people enjoy that. For me, I'm always looking for a game to feel different. I'm always looking for it to feel like I'm trying to approach it from different angles, and the Fox Experiment is one of those games that for me, it's kind of like a few plays, and then I'm ready to move on from it. I'm not getting as much out of repeated plays in this one compared with other games, which I think is the bigger issue for me. As far as I can see others not liking, first of all, the dice rolling is it's random. At the end of the day, there's a large swing on those dice. So that you can get 0.5, 1, or 1.5. That's a big shift. And if you get a bunch of ones, that just feels, or a bunch of halves, that doesn't feel good as you're playing through it. Again, hopefully it balances out over time, and they did have that aspect of the rich don't get richer. At least it's just this one round as opposed to the next round, but it's still not necessarily a feel-good moment. And then also, of course, the theme. I have seen people who are upset about the theme, despite being based on, well, I shouldn't say despite. It is based on a real thing that happened, but I have seen people who are not a fan of a breeding and genetics aspect, which can be a little bit too, it could be, I understand the ick factor involved. It doesn't personally bother me, but it might be a thing that turns you off the game. As far as final thoughts on the Fox Experiment, I've overall enjoyed the Fox Experiment a lot. This is one of those games that if I was rating it based on one play, it would be higher, because I like the game a lot, but the biggest issue I have with it is that it doesn't feel like it's giving me more every time I play it. I feel like it's a game that you play it a few times, and for me, I've seen what I want to see out of the game, and that's a big factor for me. So if I was rating it based on one play alone, I'd be more gung-ho, but as it is, it has gone down a bit for me as I played it more. Currently, it's a 3.5 out of 5. I still enjoy it. I still think it's a lot of fun. I think the production is excellent. The theme is unique. The gameplay and rules teach and all of those things are not overbearing. I think it is a fun game, and if you have a chance to play this one, you probably should go ahead and try to play it. Whether or not I recommend buying it as much, I just don't know. I think it depends on what you're looking for. I like that sense of variety and feeling different in games, and this, I didn't get that. For a game that takes an hour, I don't get enough of a sense of why I'm continuing to play it every single time I play it. So both good, but also overstays its welcome over multiple plays. That's going to be the Fox Experiment, a 3.5 out of 5 for me. As far as other game recommendations, first of all, if you're looking for something else that gives you a degree of generational work, but one in which you actually benefit from your own genetics as you go through it, My Father's Work from Renegade Games, one that I have not played, but it does have that interesting genetic aspect, 3 different generations, and you save the work to a degree, or you save the knowledge, but not the actual work itself as you go through it, which is an interesting way that they handle that. And then separately, if you're looking for another game on breeding, but this time not on cute little puppos, check out Genotype from Genius Games. Genotype is going to have you trying to breed various plants. It's a Mendelian genetics. Is that the right term? Not Mendelian? I feel like I'm saying that right, but I'm not sure. Mendelian genetics, as far as breeding different plants together to try to produce the optimal outcome, and I think people have less of an ick factor around that when it comes to plants. And that's going to be a worker placement game, by the way. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.